So this year I promised myself I'll really take care of the plants I already had, thinking I don't really need to buy more plants. But hey, let me spill the soil on what actually happened as I give you an update on my feline jungle with a houseplant tour. The goal this year was to focus on growing plants rather than buying new plants. I realized that I have an addiction, especially if you look behind me. I have so many plants. So I really wanted to focus on the quality and not the quantity. And I think that really paid off because a lot of my plants are doing really well, especially the aeroids. I purchased this Monstera Thai constellation last year for $200 as a bottom cutting with only 2 leaves. I thought it would take forever for it to grow new leaves, but surprisingly this year it grew 2 new leaves that are fully mature with double fenestration. I even just kept it in the original pot. I didn't even repot it or anything, but I made sure to give it enough water because I knew in the past I did not water my monsteras enough, and this one I would soak it in water every 2 weeks, and I think that really helped. The other aeroids were doing great this year too, and I think it's because I added a different type of moss pole. Like you can see for this philodendron golden dragon, I added this moss pole that my friend Caesar made for me, and it allows the roots to really root into it and keep the moss pole moist. And as soon as the roots started to grow out of it, this plant took off. Look at this leaf. It doubled in size compared to these tiny ones from last year. So crazy. Same thing happened to the philodendron Florida Beauty. I have a moss pole and I wrapped it in saran wrap, which really kept the moisture and allowed the roots to root into it. And this plant loved it. Look at the leaves. Each one has very beautiful pattern, great variegation. I don't know if the moss pole had to do with it, but we're gonna say it's the moss pole. Same thing with this philodendron Atavaboense. It's a plant that really took off with the moss pole. And also a very important thing is I didn't cut any of my aeroids this year. I used to love propagating them, and that was great. I was able to share the plants with people, but also it took forever for it to grow new leaves and grow bigger leaves. So if you want your philodendrons to grow, do not cut them. Right next to it is another philodendron. This is the philodendron Florida Bronx. It is a new plant, but I didn't buy it. It was gifted to me, so I feel like it doesn't count. Originally, I got this plant with only 3 leaves. As soon as I mounted it onto this moss pole, it just took off. It doubled in size, and the leaves are also getting that more mature form that you usually see with the philodendron Florida types. Speaking of new plants, I did buy a few new plants and they're on the shelf. I have a pretty good reason for it. I feel like the one before previously died while I was away on my trip to Asia, and it was a staghorn fern. So of course I had to replace it with 4 other staghorn ferns. I have a really good handle of staghorn ferns now. I used to be very scared of them, but I learned from my mistakes from the past, and I realized that they like to be kept in constant moisture, so putting it in these plastic pots really helped keep the moisture in. Before, I had them in terracotta pots, which was really good at soaking away all that extra moisture. Since doing that, they're all doing really well. Look at this one. This one's just thriving, and it actually developed a shield. This shield, I've been waiting forever. This tells me that this plant is really happy and it's mature. Talk about the Hoyas in the house. They used to do really great. They were loving life. A lot of them even bloomed. You remember those time lapse that I used to do with the blooms? Not anymore. This year, they all just decided to hate me. A lot of them died from underwatering, overwatering. 2 even got mealybug infestation, which is I never had before. So it just hasn't been a good year for Hoyas. Except for this one that's behind me. This Hoya curtsii has been doing really great and actually still putting out new leaves. I'm not complaining, so I'm gonna keep doing what I do with this one. Whereas you see like the one behind it, this Hoya compacta, I think it's just dead at this point, so I'm gonna trash it after this video. But I definitely want to give Hoyas a second try next year because they were doing great before, and I love the fact that they're pet friendly and there's so many different types of Hoyas. So definitely next year I'm thinking of like adding a few more into my collection for sure. I remember when I first built this plant shelf, I wanted the plants to outgrow it, take over it, become a jungle. And with my efforts this year of focusing on growing the plants, do you think I did a good job? I would say yes. Like, I think the plants are really growing into the shelf, especially the philodendrons. Eventually, I feel like it'll just not only take over the shelf, but also the whole wall. The only one that's a problem right now is this Hoya, and I'm gonna take care of it. Speaking of old videos, I can't believe I created this channel 3 years ago during the pandemic when I was trapped at home. And I think this is probably my least active year on YouTube. By now, I am back to my regular 9 to 5, so I only have time to film content on the weekends. And instead of just filming content, I decided to reconnect with my friends and travel more this year. With that being said, I did continue to create content for Feline Jungle and just shorter form content that doesn't take as much time. Another great thing that happened this year is that I get to work from home. And this is my work from home setup. I like to be surrounded by a bunch of plants because I feel like they help me concentrate, and when I concentrate, I get a lot more work done. Also, going back to my original goal of not wanting to buy more plants and focusing on the ones I already have, a lot of these plants, in fact, all of these plants are old plants that I've had for a very long time and they're just thriving here. Like this philodendron hope I've had for probably 6 years now. Oh, this money tree is from my lucky plant video. It had a bunch of damaged leaves before and now it looks good. Basically, I had these plants for a long time and they are all growing very happy here. I don't think I need any new plants. Actually, I think I lied because there is a new plant here, but I don't think it counts because it's not alive. This is a plant that was gifted to me by Mary from Hong Kong when I visited Asia back in May. And I thought it was a very thoughtful gift because she crocheted this herself and it's in a little terracotta pot. It's the cutest thing ever. I am absolutely in love with this space. It's the perfect setup to do work, and also the lighting is just amazing. Like this time of the day is just the perfect time to sit here and create content. So I don't think I told you this year, but I actually am part of the New York Botanical Garden Cultivators Program, where I get to learn a lot about horticulture and science. So this is actually a preservation that I did at the New York Botanical Garden in their herbarium, and I like to just put it here as inspiration. On this wall, I have an art piece I made for Feline Jungle. It has all the plant motifs and also my 2 precious cats. I actually turned this art piece into a sweater, which I'm wearing right now. You see? Talking about this channel, I want Feline Jungle not just be about the jungle, but also talk more about the cats. In fact, I have something cool I want to show you. This is my cat-friendly jungle. This corner looks a lot different from what you're used to. I took out a lot of the old shelves and added new cat furniture, which I can't wait to share with you in the next 3 videos. I know I said I wasn't gonna buy new plants this year, but I ended up buying some new plants for really good reasons. Hear me out. a lot of them died, so I felt like it was a good time to reintroduce pet-friendly plants, especially for this cat-friendly jungle. So here I have this money tree that I got from IKEA. I just really love the leaves of a money tree, and I feel like it'll thrive here. Here is my growing collection of orchids. If you know me from before, I wasn't really a huge fan of orchids. I didn't get the hype, but everything changed after I went to the orchid show this year, where I saw the most beautiful orchids displayed in different ways. I want this in my backyard, and I just come here every day to look at orchids. And then after that, I went back to Asia, where everyone was also obsessed with orchids, and I got to see different varieties of orchids that I was never exposed to before, with rows upon rows of these colorful flowers. And look at these flowers. This one just bloomed recently, and these flowers look so pretty, and they've lasted almost a month now. Recently, I've been doing a lot more research on cat-safe plants for this corner. I gathered a lot of material. If you guys are interested in learning more about cat-safe plants, then subscribe to my newsletter at felinejungle.com/subscribe, and I'll send you a free guide on cat-safe plants. I know I've been inactive on Feline Jungle, especially on the YouTube channel. But looking forward, I'm excited about all the awesome updates that I want to make. We used to be focused mainly on plants, but I definitely want to change that. I want to add more of that cat element, more about the felines in the Feline Jungle. We're going to be making this home not only green and lush, but also fun and safe for the cats. Why didn't I think of this earlier? I have no idea. But nonetheless, I'm excited for the future and looking forward to seeing everyone. By the way, I'm Fiona from Feline Jungle. Welcome back and Happy New Year.